But first, we're gonna go with the brave, because it takes pretty brave people to get up here and tell their stories. But we're gonna go with the brave, a brave person navigating by the stars. Please welcome Ali Mirjalili.
The year is 2004. I am sitting in a computer lab at our university in Iran, programming my favorite game, The Snake. This is where I wanted to be, studying the Bachelor of Software Engineering in one of the best public universities in Iran. But let me tell you how I ended up here and what happened to me. When I was 10 years old, my father was doing his PhD. One day, he came home with two massive boxes, a monitor and a computer. He used to sit down behind the computer and write something strange called program, and let those programs run for hours and sometimes even days. As a kid, I used to sit behind his computer, watching the MS-DOS black screen and enjoy the white number keep coming and keep printing on the monitor one after another. One day, I decided to help him. So I grabbed the keyboard and pretend that I'm writing a program. I was doing very well for 2 hours, but suddenly the screen went black. It was pitch black. I had no idea what happened to his computer, but I do remember that when he came back home in the evening, I was hiding behind a couch and heard him shouting, "Who blew up my computer?" Of course, I had no idea what he's talking about, but that was my first official attempt to be a programmer at the age of 10, and the beginning of my interest to computers overall. A few years later, I got the chance. I went through a very competitive exam against 1,000,000 other students and managed to get to a public university in Iran. Thank you. But unfortunately, my journey was not smooth at all. The problem began when I faced this terrible teacher in my most favorite subject, computer programming. For whatever reason, he didn't like me, he bullied me, he kicked me outside his classes, and I failed that subject. As a teenager, this reality was so real that I couldn't believe it. So I stopped going to the university and failed many other subjects. One day, I received a letter saying that I'm on probation for 1 trimester, and I was this close to face exclusion. And I thought, this is the end. It was one night, I was sitting in my room with that letter on my hand, looking outside the window to the sky. It was pitch black, with millions of white stars blinking. For some reason, it reminded me of my dad's computer. The black screen and the white numbers keep printing one after the other. Suddenly, on that moment, something changed in my heart and my mind forever. I decided to fight back, be the only one who decide about my future and how impact my future, and never give up on my dreams. So I went back to the university and finished within 2 years and 3 years, finished my Bachelor of Computer Programming. I even decided to leave the country and go to a better place, Malaysia, to study a Master of Computer Science, with the mindset of not allowing anyone to impact my future in a negative way anymore. I finished my master with a GPA of 7 out of 7. Thank you. And that put me in a position to receive an offer from one of the top 10 universities in the United States for a PhD position. But again, I faced another reality. And the reality was my nationality, Iranian. Because of the never-ending political tension between Iran and US, Getting visa was a nightmare. Even with visa, I would have to go and stay there for 5 to 10 years without seeing my family. So I said no to that opportunity, but chose a better place, Australia. I came here to do a PhD. Of course, the university was not top 10, but I wanted my dedication and my work ethics to be at the highest level. Of course, I was doing PhD in computer science, but I've been always interested in nature as well. As a kid, I remember that I used to play with ants, give them foods, follow their trace all the way to the nest, do a bunch of experiments with them, pull them apart, put them on fire. So I've been always interested in swarms in nature. And in my reading, I found a perfect field of study called swarm intelligence, in which we inspired from nature to develop algorithm in computer and solve the most challenging problems that we face as humans. Everything was working fine. The first year was perfect. I was working 10 to 12 hours per day, no weekend, no friend, a complete nerd life. Until I met my partner. And that was the moment that my performance significantly dropped down to 0. And I lost my mind. Now, instead of going to research meeting, I would have to go to these regular romantic breakfast, lunch, dinners. Instead of writing papers, I would have to write lovely text messages every 5 minutes. And instead of going to the university and doing research, I would have to go to these shopping centers and cinemas and watch these boring animations and pretend that these are the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life. So the struggle was so real, so I would have to find a way to bring her to my nerd life. And I came up with a good solution. I introduced her to my supervisor, and we both managed to convince her to do a PhD in the same area. So now we both go to the meeting, we both write papers, we both go to the conferences, so everything was working well. And this strange research-focused relationship helped me to publish more than 150 publications within 6 to 7 years and become one of the leading researchers in my area, swarm intelligence. And now I am an associate professor and have the privilege to educate a student at Torrens University, Australia, and show them the joy of learning and success in life. Now that I go back and think about my story, everything started from the night of million stars. There are so many things that are thrown at us at life, but we can get around them and move even faster towards our dreams. Don't give up. Don't let anyone to take you down. Embrace the challenges and realities, because at the end of the day, you are the main actors or actress in your lives. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.